Because we are now into the 21st century by 5 years, and the last 5 years we've had lots of things to celebrate, centenaries of various events in the last century. This year the word is not celebrate, we remember, and we make so significant a point of the fact that 60 years ago from this year of 2005, there was an opportunity for people around the world to slowly but surely realise precisely what had happened as the result of something in Nazi Germany that has been known as the Holocaust. And two of the survivors are with us this morning, Harry J. Fransman and Olga Horak, and we welcome them both to GMA. Welcome, Olga, to you, and welcome to you, Harry. What is the word then? It's not celebration, as I say.
It's commemoration and celebration in a way, because we do celebrate freedom and liberation.
And am I right in saying it's 60 years?
It is, 60 years, in 1945.
Sure. You are both voluntary guides around the Sydney Jewish Museum.
Right, yes.
And that is there. Actually, the government put that there.
No,
didn't they?
no, it was strictly funded by one man who should not be forgotten, John Saunders, who was also a Holocaust survivor. And like all Holocaust survivors, we always felt the need to have some sort of a place like this, not only for our sake, but also for the sake to pass on a very important message, not to forget, to teach the young generation about what happened, because this chapter in the history must never be forgotten. It is remembering, and once we are not going to be here because we are an aging group now, the young generation will never have the opportunity to meet a Holocaust survivor. This is why we encourage schools and other groups, of course, to come and visit the Sydney Jewish Museum in order to meet Holocaust survivors.
And what do we see there, Harry, at the museum?
Well, in the museum we have mainly the ground floor is Australian history. What happened, the first fleet that came to Australia with Jewish migrants, convicts, let's put it this way. When you go upstairs, we have photos of people who were murdered by the Nazis. Now, I have been 3 years in concentration camp. I've been in 5 different camps. After the Russians arrived near Auschwitz, our camp was evacuated, and we were on a death march. We didn't know at the time it was a death march, but whoever could not walk anymore, right at the back of the queue, people were shot in the neck and they were just murdered. They murdered thousands of people every day. Eventually we arrived in a very, very big concentration camp by the name of Gross Rosen. The name actually translated to Big Rose in English. I've never seen so many dead people as in that particular camp. Yes, well, our life have been miserable. The death march should not be forgotten by anybody. The Holocaust have been not forgotten by the people who survived, by some people who have never been through war. And we try to remember what happened at our museum. We have been doing that for many years, and we've been actually forced to do that, because there are people who say the Holocaust never occurred, and we have to let people see the misery what people can do to one another. And it keeps on going and going and going all the time, and our museum, it's very important for us to have the museum.
Olga, your story.
My story is quite different, because I'm a woman and I was in a woman camp, but similar in one way, because as you probably know, that all Jewish people were persecuted in the occupied countries in Europe. And this brings us close together, of course, because we had the same fate. We were collected, not because we were denounced, we were collected systematically.
Because you were Jewish?
Because we were Jewish. Systematically taken to camps where we were not to survive, we were to work for as long as we lasted. Of course, only the young people had to go because the elderly people were straight away sent to the gas chambers, and little children as well.
You lost a sister?
I lost my entire family. In the end, I was the sole survivor.
So your mother, your father?
That's right. My grandparents, my cousins, aunties, uncles.
And your sister?
And my sister. She was the first one to go in 1942. She was only 16 and a half years old. But I lost my mother on the day of liberation in Bergen-Belsen. And she was only 40 years old at that stage.
In watching all of the documentaries and footage, I've never seen Hitler himself visiting one of the camps.
No.
But was it his agenda, as you understand it?
No, no. He had his slaves to do the job for him. Himmler came to Auschwitz, and then he had other murderers who did what they wanted to do.
How do you help, Harry, not to hate and have that hate retained with you?
I don't hate, no, not at all, because if we started to hate today, there's never any final finish to that. You cannot hate. You have to think that there were people in the world, even in Poland, where they've been slaughtering Jews for generations, in many other countries, in Ukraine. But there also were people there who have saved Jewish lives, and we should never forget this.
This is a very important point, you know, not to mention only the bad people, but we do remember the good people as well. If we don't mention the good people, we lose faith in humankind, and we don't want to do that.
How long did the hatred stay with you? Because initially there would have to be hatred.
I don't have hatred in me whatsoever. I can be angry. I may not like something or somebody, because this is my privilege, but I don't hate. And I definitely taught my children and my grandchildren not to use that word, I hate. It's just not on.
What was the, as the result of being liberated, then trying to get back to a life of some kind? It must have been very hard.
It wasn't easy. Remember one thing, you know, I come from Czechoslovakia, and Czechoslovakia was war-torn, and there was no homecoming for me. There was nobody to wait for me. There was no counseling. There was no financial help.
And no family?
No family.
What about you, Harry? Was it hard?
Well, I came from Holland, and in Holland I would say there was never any discrimination against Jews. I had mostly Catholic and Protestant friends, and even I never heard the name Jew amongst them. I went to school and we had children with a brown skin in our class. They came from the Dutch colonies, from the Dutch East Indies. But our parents never made us aware that anybody was different. And so I grew up in a very lucky country, like Australia is a lucky country.
The museum is open every day, is it?
The museum is open every day except on the Sabbath, which is Saturday, or any Jewish holidays.
Right.
But every day from 10 till 4 in the afternoon.
And whereabouts is it again?
It's in 148 Darlinghurst Road, Darlinghurst in Sydney.
Just around the corner of St. Vincent Hospital.
Right. Well, both Harry and Olga have written books, and I assume the books would be available at the museum?
The books are available at the bookshop in the museum, yes.
I know it's 60 years ago, but that doesn't make it any easier, I'm sure, for those people affected so dramatically by the Holocaust. And not only are we thinking about the people who've survived, two of whom we have with us this morning, Harry and Olga, but also that lost their lives during the Holocaust, particularly those that didn't really have an opportunity, like your sister, of having anything like a full life. There was just,
right.
And also, of course, many of the Holocaust victims died as the result of their injuries and their experiences after the Holocaust, after the liberation, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And many of those people would have had many more years if the Holocaust had not happened. We thank Harry and Olga for coming in this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Olga Horak and Harry J. Fransman. And as I say, and our guests this morning have mentioned that the museum is one that really should be seen by all, particularly, I guess, maybe those young people who are not in the same time frame as the three of us.